Okay, great. So now we're recording. Welcome, everybody. Nice to see some familiar names and faces. People are going to keep joining as we get just past the hour here, but I'm going to go ahead and get started with an introduction to Mike. Okay, Michael Lowe attended the Leo Marchutz School of Painting and Drawing in Aix-en-Provence for a year in 1988 and 1989. Michael graduated from UCSD with a BA in Visual Arts. He returned to Aix-en-Provence in the early 90s as an assistant to Alan Roberts and John Gasparich. In the late 90s, Michael pursued an MFA with the Academy of Art in San Francisco. Over the next 20 plus years, he pursued a corporate career and drew and painted in his limited free time. After retiring from the corporate world, Michael has focused on drawing and painting, which, in his own words, have always been his true love. Michael returned to Aix-en-Provence last summer, 2025, as an artist in residence with the school. Michael now lives with his wife and daughter in the Bay Area of California. So, with that, I'm going to hand things over to you, Michael.
All right. Well, bonsoir, bonjour tout le monde.
Mhm.
Um, all righty then. So let's see. So I very honored to be with you all today and gonna look back over the work over the last 40 years. I can't believe I'm not that guy with the long brown hair, but here we go. So look back to bounce forward, perhaps. That's a donkey and his, you know what. Um, so I've always drawn. I've loved drawing growing up, and I used to draw a lot of crazy stuff out of my head. And then in high school, I had this wonderful art history teacher, Charles Goroyan, who we had three slide projectors, and every day a different student would give a presentation on a different artist going from Lascaux to conceptual art. And I did it 2 years and pretty much every week gave a different presentation. So his Charles Goroyan's big thing was happenings and conceptual art and performance art. So I was indoctrinated into the concept that from Lascaux to happenings and performance art, that one built upon the other, and you discard the past, and it was all about conceptual art and performance art, and you didn't need anything else. Very un-Marchutz school. So I went to UCSD where Alan Caprow, father of happenings and performance art, studied, and I was all in. And I do everything backwards. I did my upper division before I did my lower division, and I did all this conceptual performance art, and I became fully disillusioned when I finally had my class with Alan Caprow. I thought it was all a bunch of intellectual fill in the blank. And so I did on my 20-minute walk to class every day, I did the assignment and I got an A plus, which just totally told me it was all about what you say and not what you do. So I was really disillusioned with that. I'm sorry if I upset anybody, but that's how I characterize it. Insalubrious, intellectualized improv verbosity is what I got my degree in. They absolutely didn't want you to paint or draw. So I ended up at the Marchutz School, thank God, where looking at nature and the masters of the past and looking for that which ties together the past and the present. And I had blessings to be there for about 2 years. And then, so what I'm going to do, I'm not going to do a whole lot of talking. I'm going to play some music, and this is the work that I did back in the 80s at the Marchutz School. So these drawings I did in the Louvre and the Musée d'Orsay on break, and the that painting of Etretat I did also on break, but the others were done at the school. And when I left France and um, in my early 20s, I had a young child, and an infant, and my girlfriend and I moved back to Mission Beach in San Diego, and she was super, super sick. She was sick for months. So it was an amazing period in life to have an infant, a sick girlfriend in the back room, cooking and taking care of them. And when Aaron was napping, I would go out. Our apartment's kind of there in the center. I'd go out to this park right at the edge of the beach, and he would nap, and I would paint. And then over the next, number of years, I did a lot of landscape painting and worked a lot of really bad jobs. And so what I have next is pretty much what I did in the through the mid 90s. There is a little simple valley between dawn and the dawn of the night, and if you don't know what it follow, that happens for your steps alone. Still, there is no cause, no road choose to be. Must follow, but if you fall, you fall on the stand and together right. I will take all I got. So I had Alan and John gave me the opportunity to live at the Chateau Noir in the summer of 1989. This is a 6 foot by 4 foot that I keep in my house to remind me of the Marchutz school. And around 1996, I was driving home in the rain in the mountains, racing to pick up my son, and misjudged a turn, flew off a cliff, landed in the mud. Thankfully, I wouldn't be here if I wasn't. And took a long time to recover. And so, kind of my landscape painting career kind of ended around then. I did take a number of classes at the Academy of Art focusing on figure drawing, and then went back to work and really doubled down, became a workaholic, and grew my corporate career. And so kind of the next kind of 20 years, I drew when I could, painted a little bit, mostly people. So I don't have a whole lot to show next, but the next is kind of covering about a 20-year period. But during the period, I did do a lot of writing, which I'll talk about in a moment. So, as I was busy working and traveling the country, spending 20 nights a month in a hotel room selling cast iron pipe, when you flush, think of us. I was able to do a lot of writing. I did a lot of poems, some short stories, and things I call sketches that are somewhere between a poem and a short story. And last summer, I had the blessing to be back at the school and to take a class with Kathleen and get re-inspired to write. Merci. And so this is something I wrote some time ago. It's one page, but this is for Kathleen. Distant on the horizon. I wrote this in Costa Rica on a business trip. The first glow of the pre-dawn sun rose amorously to kiss the new day. She sat languorously in the bitter aroma and warmth of her coffee. As she gazed out through a large picture window, the waking world gradually emerged from the shadows of night. Reflections of the melodious morning sky danced in the bay below, lyrically accompanied by tropical songbirds. Slowly, in tandem, the colors of the sky and sea sauntered from deep slumbering purples through soft lacy oranges to light earnest yellows before settling into the sweet baby blues of a convivial new day. She was in no hurry, yet she felt the titillating anticipation of his impending visit. She loved sunrises. Unrealistically, she wished that in the future she would regularly wake early to witness this radiant ritual. The break of day seemed fuller of promise than any other time of day, more pristine, she mused. Senora, Maria knocked at the entrance to the large sitting room. Senora, perdonme, Senora Stengal está al teléfono. Lo siento. Like a graceful swan, Cindy rose effortlessly. Her white silk robe swished elegantly, rhythmically as she crossed the room. Her bare feet caressed the soft, peach-toned oriental rug, and then they felt the chill of the cool, dark hardwood floor. She slowly approached Maria, who waited at the threshold, holding the black receiver of the phone outstretched in her right hand and the heavy base of the phone in her left. The curly phone cord hung longingly, drooping between the two separated components. With a slightly nervous smile, Cindy gazed into Maria's prescient eyes. Maria stood stiffly in her steel blue and white trimmed uniform, like a soldier braced against the inevitable. Cindy took the receiver from Maria. It indeed was early. In the eternity from when Maria had announced the call to the moment that Cindy put the receiver to her ear, Senora Stengal agonized, anticipating the impending implosion of many fanciful plans and the forthcoming days. He would be delayed again. Perfunctory promises would be produced and promptly forgotten. Excited expectations would be executed like delicate soap bubbles being mischievously popped by a careless child. Today and tomorrow would disappear into nothingness. Once the brief call concluded, numbly, with neither a word nor with eye contact, she handed the receiver back to Maria. Retreating down the long, doleful corridor that led past the kitchen to the stairway that wound to her bedroom, Cindy winced. Her head hung heavily. She watched the floorboards pass. They appeared jaundiced in the decreasing light that came from the bright sitting room. The symphony of sunlight and songbirds behind was replaced by the solemn beat of her footsteps, mournfully marching down the blackening hallway. Maria stood still until La Senora was out of sight. A lone ship horn sounded protractedly, distant on the horizon, as Cindy got back into bed. So, um, so after as COVID hit, I started plotting my retirement and my escape from the corporate world. And I thought, well, if I want to go back to being a painter, I should probably paint. And we were running the foundry, so I was going to work all day, but I didn't have to travel, so I had some more time on my hands. So I started painting a lot of surfers and dancers. I had mentioned to Alan earlier that I am working on a book for the last 13 years that sounds like a joke, but it's about a surfer, a ballerina, and a businessman. Takes place over 3 days. So painted a lot of surfers and some dancers, and then I was able to escape the corporate world, and I did what any sane corporate executive would do. I went to New York City and displayed like hundreds of paintings illegally. So went to New York and other places in the world. I went to New York about 12 times over about 2 years, I did all these paintings, mostly lots of layers of acrylic, pastels, watercolors, pasted them on walls and met a lot of interesting people like Lord Proverbs there on the left. He used to be a supermodel. Now he's a hip hop fashion designer working at the Fashion Institute of America. And he would take some of my paintings and make fashion out of them. And I would in turn take some of his work and do paintings and post them on the walls. And this one's in Soho. It was a fun collab, but eventually I grew up, maybe not. And so since then, I've been doing a lot of life drawing and a little bit of painting. I need to do more painting, but this next series brings you up to the au courant, up to the moment. The first couple of drawings are 1 minute and then 2 minute drawings, and then 7, 20, and 40, and then a couple of my recent paintings. So um, here we go.
Oh, say that you trust with your eyes. I see you now that almost you are almost me. Almost you.
So, to close, can't read this. What just happened? Sorry. Is it sharing?
Yeah, we can see your
Okay.
screen.
So to close, I can't thank the Marchutz School enough, and John and Alan in particular. My art career, well, my art practice, it's not no career. My art practice has really been rooted in what I took away from all your teachings. And to summarize it, I wrote this within sublime paintings, which arouse our perceptions and mesmerize our souls, lies a timeless light, the aesthetic flame created holistically, harmoniously, with love, value, color, and form, bridges nature and mind, unifies insight and vision, illuminates eternity in the ever now for all to see beatifically. So thank you for letting me present 40 years in a little over 30 minutes. So
Mhm. Thank you so much, Michael. Little virtual round of applause for Michael. Thank you so much. Now we can open it up for questions or discussion if anyone wants to revisit paintings or ask Michael questions. Now is a good time to do that. And just a little housekeeping note, you're all on mute automatically just to keep that background noise down. So if you want to ask a question, just go ahead and unmute yourself, and you can shout one out. And maybe I will start, Michael. I am so curious. I'm going to go back to the very beginning of your presentation, but I'm curious how, from UCSD and the conceptual and performance art department and all of that, how you found the Marchutz School amidst all of that.
I was chasing a girl. Um, Still a very close friend, but I knew in 1988 she would be going to um, the University of X. She's French. And so I thought, okay, I found in my first week at UCSD a brochure for the Marchutz School. And I said, okay, great. I love Cezanne. I love Impressionism. Right place. She didn't show up till a year later, but yeah, I was
Oh no.
chasing a girl.
There you go. And was it did you go during your junior year from UCSD?
Yeah, I did it all backwards. I did my upper division first, so did all my, and then yeah, junior year, I was there from fall of 88 through 89.
So cool. Thank you. Other questions for Michael or discussion? Yeah, Kathleen, go ahead.
Hi, Michael.
Hi,
Beautiful,
bonjour.
right? Um, and beautiful paintings, all of it. Um, Rose and I are always so curious to hear people talk about how other obviously connected parts of their lives have been infused with. I mean, you obviously cherish so many of the principles of in art and at Marchutz and all of that. So I'm curious, I would love to hear you talk about how your business life and your career were infused or affected by your art.
Sure. So I eventually had to cut my hair and go get a serious job when it was clear I was going to get a divorce and lose, needed to get really serious. So through a series of jobs, I ended up at a iron foundry and then worked my way up to be the president. And what I found in terms of running a large company is that these principles of collection of the parts to create a unified whole where everything resonates in harmony can be applied to business and your relationship with your team members, your vendors, your customers, the government, etc. And that it is about creating something that's greater than the sum of its parts. It completely works in business and works in relationships. So I feel like I was successful in business because of applying the principles of the Marchutz School. Does that answer your question?
Yes, we love to hear about that. Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So
We might have you
beautiful.
write about that.
Yeah, really. I'm gonna come back to this recording and take that quote. Um, we have a question in the chat from Gwen. It says, "Are you showing any paintings in the Bay Area today?"
I unless you come to my house, I don't show. I just do and put in the closet. I don't really have an interest, except if you go to New York City and we're saw my paintings on the walls in my outdoor gallery. But no,
Thank you. Michael, I'm curious. Last summer you were in X for 5 weeks with us, and I think I saw one Mont Saint Victoire painting in your slideshow.
yeah,
Can you talk about what you were up to during the artist residency?
sure. Well, I hadn't done a landscape painting since the mid '90s, and before my accident, and so I did a number of paintings. I hadn't played with oil since the late '90s. And so I did a number of paintings. I gave away to friends, so I don't really have them. I also did. I was in Ireland before, in Amsterdam, and um, it's my daughter and wife in drinking coffee in Ireland.
Oh,
Um, that's Blarney Castle. This I did at the on the field trip to Arles with the
mhm.
sarcophagi and the Van Gogh painting. I did that while we did that. Um,
Beautiful.
so I did, and then let's see. I think there's one more. Oh, and then I'm having trouble here technically. Sorry.
That's okay.
And then yeah, I went to where I hmm, yeah, this one did this. I
Mm,
on one vacation break in the Marchutz School in the '80s, I went up to Amsterdam and sat in front of this painting for hours, and I was able to go back and do a drawing this last visit prior to the Marchutz School. So, um,
beautiful.
so I did a few paintings. They took me longer than I used to paint, much more
Mhm.
quickly, and I did some drawings and. But yeah, I can't wait to get back one day to Atelier Libre or maybe Venice or something. But I miss y'all.
Good idea. Other questions? Oh, Alan, go ahead.
Yeah, Michael, can we go to there were like five paintings, the sunset paintings
Yeah,
back before that came right after the mountain,
yeah,
like
this one.
or the one before that. There were like five of them. Can we
Yeah,
just go back
yeah,
to
yeah. These are
so
what I've been working on lately.
okay,
There's this one.
the one before that one?
Yeah, these I've been channeling Turner, thinking of Turner. This one.
Yeah. So in terms of those five paintings I see there, I almost feel like there's a relationship between those five paintings right there,
Uh-huh.
much further out, much more advanced, but with a real connection back to what you did when you were a student at the school. And
I would ag-
I'm wondering about all of those incredible, those paintings that you put up on the wall in New York, for example. Do you feel like there was a difference between what you were trying to do with those paintings that you put up on the walls in New York and something like this? Because I feel a real difference in terms of sort of the connection to that beautiful thing that you wrote at the end and what's happening right here. And the ones in New York are much seem more like you're trying to do something different. They're related more to trying to talk about an idea or something. But that idea of light and unity of light and form. I mean, is there a different way that you went about this than the paintings you did in New York, for example?
Very much
Is there,
so. Yeah, these three I've been looking at a lot of Turner. So this is a pastel that is a loose takeoff on one of his watercolors. Um, this one just out of my head. And then
Mhm.
this one, it's a sunrise. It's actually a loosely based on a watercolor of his from Venice, without Venice. But
Beautiful.
since I got back from the Marchutz school last summer, um, I've worked on some more work like these. There's some that, and I would agree that they're much more related to what I did back in the 90s and at the Marchutz school. The the work I did in New York was about being seen and getting through the visual clutter of the city and chasing that Instagram where there's all these Instagram photographers shooting street art and kind of I think that was much more about getting seen and mass producing paintings and getting it out there. I think I would agree it was fun to do, but it wasn't as holistic and quiet and reverential as I'm working on now.
Yeah. And when you were in New York doing all those, were you alone when you were doing those paintings? Was it a collaborative? Were you working with a group of artists going around putting your paintings up, or were you sort of by
Well,
yourself? Did you have a group that you were working with, or were you just there by yourself?
um, combination. I would do the paintings in my studio or my spare room in my house, roll them up, take them on a plane or take them in a surfboard bag with a surfboard, um, and bring them to New York City. I had a friend who kind of Jesus Suarez, who kind of showed me the etiquette of the graffiti world and the street art world, and
Uh,
how to what's kosher and what's not. And so often I would do them by myself. Sometimes he'd be with me. And one summer there was a bunch of street artists that kind of would go around together and but mostly it was under the cover of darkness late at night, pasting these up, and then hopefully they'd be back the next morning to go take an Instagram photo of them. Some would last for months and others would last for minutes. But it
yeah.
was, I don't know, I was just being a punk. A grown
So
punk.
talk about what can you talk about a little bit of what's kosher and what's not when you do something like that?
Well, you don't go over somebody else.
Okay.
Um, there's a hierarchy of tagging and then throw ups and then street art, and there's beef between the people who do the throw ups, which are those big bubble letters, and the people who do
Mhm.
the street art, but you don't go over somebody. Um, you you know, there's certain areas that you don't put stuff up, like schools and churches, and there's other
Yeah.
areas that it is fine. And you just have to feel it out. And then there's this whole community of photographers that post on Instagram street art internationally, and you kind of meet people through that. And sometimes you would hook up and go out together, and befriended a street artist who was a poet, and he and I often would go out together. But I don't know. But mostly it's a nocturnal, solitary. I was never arrested, but got close twice. Um, I don't know, different kind of world.
Then just one last question on the
Please.
subject, the sports aspect of your art, the
Yeah.
surfing and the baseball and those sports images.
Hmm.
Is that just related to your love of surfing and baseball, or how? Yeah.
Yeah, and I did a lot. I'm into cycling too. I used to when I was doing my workaholic traveling all over the country, I would often just do drawings of I was gravitating to baseball and golf and cycling. But yeah, I like people, and I like the particularly baseball. It's so emotive in my opinion, and
Yeah.
you can kind of get into you know, you know, the strikeout or you know, thinking of the next pitch. And I did some very large paintings that I didn't feel worthy of showing, but yeah, I went through a baseball phase and then a surfing phase. I like the surfing was more about the freedom of getting out of the corporate world and the loose and not being exact. And the I used to do a lot of body surfing growing up, so I
Mhm.
and then the dancers, I just love ballet, and so to me again, freedom and the movement of the body.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Other questions or comments for Michael?
Hey, I have a quick question.
Hi there.
Please, Alejandra.
Hi. So what do you, I'm curious where you're heading now. Are you just sort of continuing, seeing how it feels now that you came back last summer? Or I'm just curious what you're doing now and how you're gonna how you see that continuing, if at all,
Well, it'll continue.
in
I,
some form.
yeah, I mean, this painting I just finished um, this week. Um, at least I think I'm finished. So I'd like to do more landscapes, and I'm playing with like this is a lot of layers of glazing. Um, so I'm kind of
Hmm.
playing with, this one probably took me about 8 months. I think I started right after I got, but where you do a layer and then let it dry, do another layer, and then which is very similar to that street art I used to do, lots of layers and that kind of glow that you can get. So I've been playing with that. Um, this jazz image, which is a takeoff from my favorite jazz club in New York City called Mesro. Um, it's pretty big. It's like 3 feet by 5 feet. I'd like to paint a couple versions of this, one in acrylic and one in oils. Um, I don't know. I mean, I don't, I want to do more landscapes, but I also want to do more complex kind of choreographed figurative scenes.
Hmm.
I don't know. But this, and this is kind of what I've been working on lately. And then I do a lot of
Be nice
sketching
to
in my
see that as a painting.
sketchbook. What's that?
Be nice to see that as a painting, that
Yeah,
jazz.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank
that would
you.
be cool.
And I've been doing a lot of drawings in nature, but looking at little a flower in a background where it's not a big landscape, but more of a worm's eye view of grass where it's representational but kind of abstract. I I don't know. I need to. Lately I'm here at a client site. I've been doing since February a lot of work at this manufacturing company, which is going to be short-lived. So I'm a little out of rhythm, but and then I every week I do life drawing, sometimes twice a week. So I don't know, Alejandra. I'll when I come visit you, I'll have an answer to that question.
Yeah, I was just curious. No, this is great to see. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
Let's see, we've got a comment from the comments or comment from the chat from Elizabeth Ivor saying, I really like some of Michael's quick figure studies. I'm wondering what medium he used to get such rich, dark blacks.
Ink. Um, I I mostly draw in black ink. Lately, I've been doing some pencil. It's amazing to be able to erase. Almost feels like cheating. But black ink and sometimes, I like these kind of Japanese, long brush pens. But yeah, these are all 1 minute. Like this one, 2 minute, but with a black and a gray. But it's ink, ink in a sketchbook. And then yeah. So well, most of these are ink. And then like something like this,
Lovely.
as the pen dries and you lose ink, you can get these kind of scratchy, brushy marks, which are lovely.
Beautiful. Michael, on those sunset paintings we were just looking at, I had the impression they were pastels or something. They have such a spontaneity to them. Could you say more about what mediums you're using or
Sure,
what media you're using?
this one is pastel on a gray
Okay,
paper.
beautiful.
This is oil, a lot of layers of glazing, um,
Wow.
and then some quick marks at the end. And this is
Mhm.
yeah, oil and a lot of glazing.
Beautiful.
And in the 90s,
And
since
then,
I left the Marchutz school before the accident, those were all acrylics
mhm.
because my
Wow.
wife at the time did not like the smell of oils. So
Lovely. Any last questions or comments for Michael? We're getting toward the end of our hour together.
Hi, Rose. Can
Hi,
you?
Patty.
Hi. Hi, Michael.
hi, Patty.
Hi. So lovely to see you again. I just came in,
Likewise.
I just came off the golf course, so I'm a little disheveled, but I didn't even stay for lunch. I said, I have a Zoom meeting with an old bunch of friends.
Aw.
So I
Merci.
raced, I raced home.
Well,
Um,
thank you.
I was I was hoping to see some of those beautiful paintings that you did with us last year at the Marchutz School with all that thick paint. Not just that one. Remember by the tree
Yeah,
and that hot day when you sat there and I took a
yeah,
picture of
yeah.
you?
I most of those paintings I gave to friends, and I don't have photos of,
Oh, that's too bad.
but
Oh,
yeah, this is the only one that quote unquote made the cut.
okay. All right. Well, I may have some photographs of them. I may have to send them to you because
Well, thank you.
I think
Thank
I
you.
took some. I love them so much.
Well, thank
So
you very much.
it's good to see Rose and uh, Kathleen and Alan and Barry and Alejandra. I'm so homesick for X. I can't stand.
Aw.
I see these Facebook pages and they zoom into the Cour Mirabeau and the Marche, and I said, oh my gosh, I had to turn them off because I get so homesick. But anyway, so
Aw.
it's lovely seeing you all. And Michael, I've enjoyed so much seeing all your different variety of mediums and subject matter. It's just astounding. So
Well,
keep
thank
up the
you.
good work. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So good to see you, Patty.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Thanks, Patty.
Bye-bye.
Well, wonderful. Maybe we will wrap things up there, Michael. Thank you so much again for taking the time to give this beautiful talk and to show all your work over the last 40 years. We so appreciate you taking the time to put this together. So thank you so much. And thank you to all of you for joining us this morning or this afternoon or this evening, depending on where you are. We so appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
Michael.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Au revoir. Merci.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Tout à l'heure.
Merci tout le
À tout à
monde.
l'heure.
Come
Thank you,
back.
Michael.
Everyone, thank
Thank
you. Take care.